Hello and welcome to another live edition of the Nittany Dispatch. I'm John Sauber, Penn State beat writer at the Center Daily Times. She's Audrey Snyder, doing the same for InsideTheLines.substack.com. And this will be a pretty abbreviated episode.
Sure.
Looking at probably 20 minutes or so after Penn State's 22-10 win.
I got a train to catch.
That's right. 22-10 win over Clemson in the Pinstripe Bowl to close out the 2025 season. A game that was a little dull in the first half and picked up in the second half, and one I think that will impact the future for a lot of players on the field Saturday for Penn State.
Yeah, I mean, Ethan Grunkemeyer looked good. Quinton Martin Jr. looked really good. Darius Dixon looked good. And the story that I just frantically finished writing is about all those guys and kind of your stars of this game in many ways, with the exception of Dennis Sutton. These are players that we don't know if they're going to be here. And so, post-game was spent asking these guys about their future. And as much as Terry Smith and everybody wanted to relish in this moment, as they should. I mean, this was a team that had to, win 4 games in a row to get to this point. And as great as that is, it's all about what comes next, right? And that's who is the quarterback of this team the next time they play a meaningful game? Is Quinton Martin Jr. running back 1? Because he sure looked really, really good today. Is Darius Dixon on this roster? I mean, all of these guys showed up in big ways, which we can say it's a good problem to have, John, but everybody else just watched this game. I hate that statement
so much. Yeah.
That's right. You love that one. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think so. This is a really interesting situation, right? And we'll get into a lot of this. We plan on doing a portal preview episode at some point this week as to like what you can expect and what everything looks like moving forward for Penn State and for everyone going in and out of the portal as people go in and out of these booths here at Yankee Stadium apparently as well. I saw that over your shoulder, Audrey. But yes, this is a very unique situation, right? Where there are players who put themselves on display to show what they can do and show, what they're capable of, whether that's at Penn State or somewhere else, right? I think that is especially true of Ethan Grunkemeyer, who had inarguably his best game as a Nittany Lion on Saturday, right? I thought some of the praise of him was maybe misguided, isn't the right word, but maybe a little a step ahead, I guess, in previous weeks, right? Because Andy Kotelnicki kind of simplified the offense for him.
You didn't want to praise this guy. I've been praising this guy.
Hold on. I think that with Barrett, though, like I think with like what he showed previously was okay. He can make these quick decisions, but essentially Andy Kotelnicki was narrowing down the offense to make it easier on Grunkemeyer, right? That was the case again early in this game. I thought the offense looked kind of similar in that way, and then he kind of let it loose in the second half, and I thought he looked significantly better. I thought some of those throws he made were incredible, especially some of the ones that weren't completions, quite frankly, were some of his best throws. There were that wheel route to Andrew Rapouillet who caught it and it comes back for an illegal shift penalty because 2 players are in motion at the same time, didn't get set. Like that is the kind of throw that you expect from a big time quarterback. And now it's created this situation again. I don't want to go into this too much because we'll talk about Rocco Becht and what's next for Ethan coming this week. But it's created a situation now where he has made his case for Penn State, but potentially more importantly for him, made his case to programs around the country that he is a starting quarterback as a redshirt sophomore next season and deserves to be so.
Which is why some might say it's a good problem to have.
Unless you make the wrong decision. Then it's not such a good problem.
If Grunk makes the wrong decision or Penn State?
No, if Penn State does. Because I think there's a pretty clear decision, and it's one, again, that we'll talk about a lot, but it's Ethan Grunkemeyer, it's Rocco Becht, right? I think that is where things are at, and I think we both know where it's headed.
We
both know where we expect where it's headed, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the challenging part. I mean, and even as these guys speak, and I know sometimes fans will say, well, you guys need to pin them down when they say these things. Players change their minds. Like it's very much, I mean, at one point, Ethan, after this game was talking about, how he hopes to be thrown to some of these guys next year. And in my head, I'm like, well, if you're here, and when I was talking to Darius Dixon, he said, I'm a Penn Stater now. And I said, well, do you want to be here in January? Like, what's the, I mean, and that's not us trying to put these guys in a spot. That's just the reality of, a game like this happens, it ends, and especially with this particular season and this particular group, these guys are going in so many different directions. And it's, this is one last game here for Andy Kotelnicki and Stan Drayton and talking to their their players about what was that scene in the locker room and what was that emotion. Because, again, this was a bizarre day for us, admittedly.
Yes, it was.
Really, really cold, open air press box, miserable conditions to try and type in, to try and, pull out your phone and take videos and this and that. And we got to see the post-game celebration, but we don't get any field access here, so we're watching it from the press box. And, you could see what it meant to Terry Smith, right, to have this group one last time. And we got to see also today what this meant for Deion Dennis Sutton and the fact that he did not have to play in this game. And Terry Smith told us afterward that Deion told him after they qualified for a bowl game after beating Rutgers that he was playing, that this really was not a question for him, which is, in a sport that has gone completely crazy, in a time and place where these bowl games are quite meaningless for a lot of folks. And again, there were a lot of tickets sold today, but the weather conditions here certainly understandably made it a tough one, plus all the opt-outs and injuries and transfer portal guys for both teams, right? And this is not just a Penn State Clemson thing, this is everywhere. Deion Dennis Sutton played, and he played his behind off, finishing with 2 sacks. And not only did he play on defense, John, he continued playing on special teams, and he continued playing into the fourth quarter. Man, this guy, it was kind of like a throwback. When you're watching, you're like, oh yeah, remember these times when players did play in bowl games, especially a game of this, kind of minimal stature magnitude. So yeah, kudos to Deion Dennis Sutton for playing, because I did not expect that we would see him as much as we did. I thought he would play. Maybe we'd see him for a few series. But yeah, I did not expect what we saw.
Yeah, I kind of expected if he was going to play, it was going to be this much. And Terry Smith alluded to someone.
Easy to say that now, John. Mm-hmm.
I think I said it previously too, specifically about Nittany. But I think it was in November that Terry Smith alluded to a player who went up to him and said essentially like, I have something I have to do in order to some weekend where they had practice or whatever and lead up to the bowl, and he wanted to make sure he could make it, what have you. He was talking about Deion, right? Like Deion was always playing in this game. He told Terry it was either before or after the Rutgers game as the lights go out in Yankee Stadium.
I was going to say, we can't see center field anymore. It's gone. Yeah.
Yes. He told Terry Smith long before the season was over that he was going to play in a bowl game, and that meant a lot to him, right? Like this was going to be his kind of last hurrah as a Nittany Lion, and he played incredibly well, like you said. I think who knows if he helped his draft stock or not, right? Like the production was always there with him. He was always a good player. It's just a matter of what the ceiling is, and I think quite frankly, the testing at the combine will dictate a lot for him, but there's no doubt that it is a positive that he went out and played with his team one final time. I'm not saying it's a negative for players who didn't. It's more just a chance to get a sort of just a mark in your direction, even if it isn't necessarily a negative if you don't play, right? I think he is seen as someone who loves the game, loves to be out there, and this is only going to reinforce that idea. I still think he's going to be a top 50 pick in the draft. I still think he's going to be, a successful NFL player. I said to Johnny McGonigal of Penn Live today that he's the kind of guy that plays in the league for 12 years and is a starter for 12 years and, racks up a bunch of cumulative stats because he's always good, right? Like he's always a good player. I don't know that he'll ever be elite or great in the NFL, but I expect he'll have a long NFL career. And I admittedly, like, this is one of those situations where I was like, man, I hope nothing happens, you're just worried every time like that he gets rolled up or that something because he wants to be out there. He wants to be playing. And so the last thing you'd want to see is something like that happen. Fortunately, nothing did. I don't think there was much of anything really in that regard. Kyron Hudson went out early and didn't come back in, but I think that was
his knee wrapped.
Yeah. I think that was only the second play of the game for Penn State offensively. But yeah, this was a net positive all around for Penn State. The only negative is, did someone play too well and their price tag went up and now they're not back, right? And like, no, that's not a good problem to have, but like it is, you want to see your players play well, right? You always take that. You take the guy played well, so more schools want him rather than he didn't play well, now nobody wants him.
Yeah, I mean, this was kind of one of those games where you were reminded that there still is a lot of talent on this roster, right? And we've said it all year. And for me, it was Quinton Martin Jr. looks like a guy who seems ready to follow Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. But as he said afterward, he's got to think about this. And, he's going into year 3, right? Despite, redshirting, really not playing much at all this year, except for today. And now it's like, all right, either way, if it's here or somewhere else, you're learning a new offense this offseason. And pretty much whether it's here or somewhere else, you're getting a new position coach, right? Because we know Stan Drayton's off to South Carolina. So
along with Deion Barnes, presumably just on the same flight down right now.
Deion Barnes. Yeah, I mean, there were 11 buses, as Terry Smith told us, 11 buses heading from here back to State College. And then where those players, coaches, staffers all go from there is truly up in the air. Again, the transfer portal opens January 2nd. Penn State's spring semester starts like January 12th. The portal goes to the 16th of January, which feels like it's forever away, but it is not. So I mean, all these things just have to get sorted out, and it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of, like, I think in many ways today, probably for several of these players was like a welcome distraction, and it was a let's stay in this moment and in this celebration as long as we can, because once those buses get back to campus, everybody is moving on. And that's just the way season enders always are, but it hits extra different when you're going through a coaching change.
And everyone can be dispersing, right? And there's actually a really interesting question in the chat that I want to talk about that we'll use to essentially wrap the show. Again, shorter episode today. Audrey's got a train to catch. We got to get back to town. We will be doing an episode at some point this week talking about the transfer portal and previewing, coming and going, all of that kind of stuff. But first, Audrey, our friends at Roback.
John, you can save 20% off of your first purchase at Roback when you use code TND20. That's TND20 as in the Nittany Dispatch 20. John, would you like to show the people what you're wearing today from Roback's line?
Yes. Once again, the hoodie. I've worn this hoodie. It's a bit at this point with my wife. I made sure I packed this. I think I've worn this the last 3 bowl games, so I just kept it up at this point.
Nice.
Roback joggers are on, as always, especially in this
kind
of weather.
Show off the joggers?
I'm not going to do that. This short of an episode, unbelievable, Audrey. But yes, the people at Roback doing wonderful work, producing wonderful apparel, and all sorts of things.
And with code TND20, you can save 20% off of your first purchase. John, the conditions for today were interesting.
Real quick, I wanted to this question in the chat that I think is interesting, because I don't know if this is true, but if it is, then
oh boy, are we spreading rumors on here now?
Someone said now that PSU picked up today's win. Do you both agree with the common opinion that PSU overachieved this season? I don't know that that's a common opinion, but even
overachieved?
I think that is,
do you mean the team that was supposed to compete for a national championship?
Right, but I think that's from the perspective of they were 3-6 and are now from overachieved from that point on. Okay. And I would still say no. I think they just played up to the level of what they should have been the entire time, right? And frankly, in some games like the Rutgers game did not meet that level. Like that's the tough.
That was bad. That was a bad game.
Yeah, it's the tough part about this, right? Is that this is I know the question may have been a joke. I see that in chat, but still, it's the broader point of, for as good as today was, for as great as the ending was, going 4-0 to close out the rest of the regular season, to end on this big positive that Terry Smith learned so much, players played so well at the end, made themselves money. Like, still looming over all of this is that it's December 27th. Penn State's season is over. They did not make the playoff, and through all of this, I'm sure players, media members, coaches are wondering, like, what could have been, right? What should have been, what everyone was expecting to be. And then now, I think this is a situation where, I don't know, like I said, celebrate the win, right? Like, enjoy it for sure. But I do think this kind of still leaves that taste probably in fans' mouth of, like, man, this should have all been so much better. Like, this is, at the end of the day, 7-6, and it's like, it feels hollow despite a 4-game win streak to close the season.
Yeah, I mean, the 4-game win streak, you get the moment with Nebraska in there. The Terry Smith signs, that's a moment we'll all remember from this year. I mean, you had Indiana on the ropes, right? Like, that was another reminder that there's talent on this roster still.
How many one-possession losses? One possession loss after one possession loss, like that. That's what submarined the season. That's what submarined James's tenure. That's what submarined the season, and that's why they're where they're. You flip those one possession games, like, and I know that's not how it works. Yeah, Oregon, UCLA, Iowa, Northwestern, Indiana, all of those games. I don't know. I'm a big believer that those kind of close games are more luck than anything, right? That you can usually you go 500 in one possession games.
It's a blade of grass here, there, or a blade of grass that you're I guess dumping. What did they dumped grass on turf? I didn't
grass
catch that
clippings.
today, yeah.
Which, by the way, the Pop-Tarts Bowl going on right now was just real disappointing to miss that. Very interesting matchup for Penn State, considering it's Brent Key against Kalani Sitake. And I will leave that there. But
the matchup of what could have been.
Yeah. But no, I think it's one of those things where you can feel how close this was to being what they wanted it to be, right? And if they just had some stuff go their way, and that's sports, it's football especially because it's a small sample size sport, but it has to suck, right? Like, Denied Dennis Sutton was dominant against a Clemson team that's really good. Yes, they had a ton of opt-outs too, but like, Cade Klubnik was their starting quarterback going into this season. He's still out there.
Still there,
now,
yeah.
I think the merits of him being the starting quarterback moving forward will be interesting to discuss for Clemson beat writers. But you're still looking at a really talented Clemson team, and he just had his way with the offensive line, did whatever he wanted. And he, like you said, he was full bore the whole time he was out there. And I think on some level, despite the 4-game winning streak, this all comes back to the what if part of the season.
Yeah, and I think this comes back to what are fans going to remember this year as? What are they going to take away from this season? And what are those moments in, 5-10 years when we look back at, wow, as they now crank the lights back on in the stadium and turn them really bright. What are fans going to remember about this year? And I think the memory is going to be James Franklin getting fired and Matt Campbell getting hired and the lengthy coaching search. Like, so much of what we thought we'd be talking and writing about was the on-field product and those kinds of things. But what I'm going to remember about this year were those program milestones that happened off the field. Sure, they were certainly a result of what didn't happen on the field, but you change head coaches, you have the lengthy search, you hire the next guy, and then you have those 4 wins. I mean, John, it feels like night and day from where the conversations we were having in the preseason and week 1, week 2, week 3, right after the Villanova game. And it's like, okay, we're going to find out. Penn State's finally going to play somebody. What happens? I mean, this season flipped so quickly. And yes, there were warning signs and, Drew Aller wasn't great out of the gate and all those things. But yeah, I never thought we'd get here, but it did end on a positive note. Despite everything. I mean, there was a strong stretch where I was like, this is going to be a 3-win team. Like, the way they looked.
Bowl eligibility was impossible when they were 3-6. Actually, probably when they were 3-5 because Indiana gave them a little bit of hope. This had the chance to fall apart and it didn't, which is a testament to all the people involved in keeping it together. That includes Terry Smith and Denied Dennis Sutton and Ethan Grunkemeyer and all those people contributing today. I think that is probably a good place to leave it for now. As we inch closer to Audrey's train leaving back to her hometown.
Subway, then a train, then getting back, a Packer game in between while on the train. It's just a lot going on today.
We will be back. We apologize for the short episode post game. It's been a very chaotic day, bowl trip, very strange bowl trip. Very
John's
short.
car may or may not be stuck in the parking garage. That may or may not be open after the game. We'll see.
Yeah, that'll go well, I'm sure. Up here for 24 hours. Can't wait. It's very exciting. But yeah, we will be back early next week, at some point next week, to discuss the transfer portal, kind of our expectations, positions we think Penn State should target, all of that sort of stuff. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, don't forget to leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button and like button down below. If you'd like to find Audrey's work, you can find it insidethelions.substack.com. You can find her on Twitter at OddSnyder4, and on Blue Sky, if you search audreysnyder.bsky.social, you can find me and all of my writing at centerdaily.com.
Where do you work, John? What is it that you do?
Yeah. Long day. Centerdaily.com, CENTRE. Spelled like the county that State College is in. You can find me on Twitter at John Sauber, and on Blue Sky if you search johnsauber.bsky.social. We will be back next week to discuss the transfer portal, the thing everybody is excited to talk about.
Coming.
Or maybe not. We'll see. Until then, thank you for tuning in. Have a great day.